New era was good.
What's good, brother?
It is
Good, fellas.
your week 11. We marching. We marching forward, fellas.
Absolutely.
We ain't got much time.
We're there.
Playoffs is gonna be here in a minute. Hey,
You either hitting a wall or you crossing over it.
yeah, that's right. Or a lot of people gonna hit that wall. Either case, we want to get y'all a quick video. Just bring y'all some power rankings for this week. We're going to do the rundown and the matchups. We got some really good matchups to look forward to. The divisions are up for grabs on both ends. So this is a big week. But before we do that, I want to introduce my two co-hosts this week. I got the capo with me, Marvin. What's going on,
brother?
bro?
What's going on, brother? Good seeing you, brother.
Yeah, no doubt. And Raph, second week in a row. Good to see you back with us, bro.
Thank you, bro. Feels good to be back.
Yeah. Nice to have you back with us. Y'all did a great video last week. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about the trades and all that, but I found it hilarious. I love the dialogue that was had about the trades and what didn't happen and how it happened and being roommates and all that. Like, that joint was hilarious. But anyway, now that we're focusing on this week, with week 11, we're going to get straight into the power rankings, right? We're going to take a look at the teams. And just basically say, hey, this is what we think. So I'll tell you what, we got 10 guys, right? So what I'm going to do, we're going to break it up into 3, all right? So, and then the last person will cover the top 4, okay? So just starting off with the bottom 3, make it nice and easy for you. I tell you what, Marvin, could you pick out what you think is number 10, number 9, and number 8, and the reasons why? You don't have to be long, but just hit us off with some information on why you feel like these are the bottom 3 teams.
Well, let's keep it simple then. Hello?
Yep.
Yeah. So I would say number 10 has to be still at this point, Brett Era. And obvious reasons, the record. We talked in the past about his points for perhaps being a thing. I think that's kind of past now at this point. So number 10, let's keep it simple, is Era. Number 9, at this point, I would say, let me do it like this. Number 9 would be London Calling, Plunk. And number 8, I would put Newark in Progress. I know the records are a little bit flipped, but I think Germ still has a better chance than London at this point.
Okay. All right. Any pushback on that from you, Raph?
I think that's right, but I think I think the list is right. If you wanted to swap maybe Ricky in there prospectively, I could. There's a universe where I could see that.
Ricky?
Yeah, I know.
No. But let me just say, I'm speaking strictly on points for.
Well, I'm getting a volume issue. Sorry, guys.
Okay. No, so it's what I'm saying is I don't disagree with your list. I'm saying if there's an argument, I'm saying there's a universe where I think Ricky, based on prospectively looking forward, given where his points for are. And just kind of how we discussed last week, like, whether you're a pretender, how things can shake out. Can you see somebody like running the table or taking a few L's? But I don't got no issue with your list. I do think he's in that next tier though.
All right, I got you.
Wait. I'm trying to be objective here. So Ricky is the division leader right now, respectfully. I lost the division last week. And you're saying there's a possibility he's in the next tier, meaning what, 7, 6, and 5? That group.
So you're saying so are you suggesting that he's top 3, top 4?
I mean, I just because he's in the division right now and the records.
Okay, all right.
I gotta give it to him just on that alone. I hear what you may be trying to say, but right now it's hard to make any argument he's not in the top 4 or 5 right now.
It's premature. Okay.
You're very premature.
Yeah. I mean,
we'll see what happens. But yeah. All right, my bad. Hey, Vernon, go ahead.
No, you good. The downfall of Ricky is kind of overhyped here a little bit. All right, so
I think so.
I'm gonna push back. Like, Ricky, you got the division lead. Until you lose it, like, I can't even think about you being in the bottom half, right? When I look at the bottom half of guys, right? I look at, these are guys that essentially you really don't have a path to get in. Like, you really don't. So for what it is, like, Brad, your season's over. Your season's been over for a minute. Just because you don't have the points for, you don't have the wins, right? Kind of the same thing is true with Germ, right? His points for is so low. Like, he's the second lowest in points for. So even if he picks up a couple wins, likely you're not going to make it because somebody's going to have the same record as you and they're going to bump you out. So really,
you make a good point on that alone. I just think Germ's team is a better team than Plunk's.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's why I flipped him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think he has a shot still that I don't think London does.
Yeah. No, and I agree with that. Like long term, like going forward, like yeah, Germ's a better team. Like even like for these matchups that's coming up, like Germ is going to be a thorn in your side trying to beat him because he has a
100%.
better team.
Yeah, yeah.
But as far as his actual path to get in,
yeah.
Germ, like it's over, bro. Like you got 420, like it's over, and you're only above. I guess you're only above Ricky at 1390. You're only above him by like 30 points. Like it's just not enough. So that is what it is. I agree with Plunk. You can flip and flop him. I agree with you, Marv. Like as far as the actual team construction, like clearly Germ has a better team. But for what it is, like these three guys, like they're really in a tough spot. For Plunker, because he is 5-5, a lot of things will have to happen. Kind of like the end of the year NFL, and they start running down all these crazy scenarios on how teams can get in. There is a legitimate chance that he could still get in.
I don't even think we need to entertain that. 14-30.
I'm not going to entertain it.
Yeah. Because construction of his team, I'm not buying that right now. So let's look at, let me hear Raph's
7, 6, 5.
Right. 7-6-5, sorry.
So 7, I'll put I'm gonna put Harvey Lemons in there. I'm gonna put Sean. I'm gonna put Sean there. Like I said, I'm looking at the 5-5. I'm looking at while he has the points, I kind of looking at it when I look at power rankings. I hear y'all with the records and division leaders, and that's absolutely one way to look at it. I take more of a holistic approach to it though, prospectively. So I look at his team, I'm like, you might have some issues to work through if you're gonna make that sustained run. But that's why I put you in that tier. Germ for sure, and then I'll put myself at that. We said 7, 6, and 5. I'll put myself at the fifth spot.
Okay.
Well, Germ is not in that grouping, so you need to pick another.
Sorry.
Come on. You got to make a call. It's either going to be Mel, right? So the teams that you got left to pick from, you got Mel, you got Sean, you got myself.
I'm gonna say Mel. I'm gonna say Mel because he's leaning on CD needs to do his thing, but we don't know what that team is looking like right now. Without that pony kind of doing what he needs to do at the spot where he was selected, then I can see that.
I agree. I think Mel has a lot of flux that's going on with his team. So really it's like he can burst out at any moment. But then, like, once you get past those running backs, it's like, man, it's not really much there. And, of course, with CeeDee Lamb taking a hit at QB, it really puts Mel's team in flux. It's not really a fault of his own. I mean, he does have some guys he could throw in, but without CD, that's a big part of his engine.
It's a big loss of production, yeah. So what are you saying? 7 is Sean and 6 is Mel?
Yes. And Raph will be at the 5 spot because of points.
Of points, yeah, I buy that.
Yeah, I can't disagree. All right, Marvin, back to you. Top 4. Where we going?
Top 4. I'm gonna go the other way for a moment because I'm not sure how to do the 4-3-2, honestly. So let me work away a little bit. Let me see. I still got to put AC at the top.
Okay, so number 1, AC. Okay,
leader, right. So I'm just gonna do it that way for now. And then I hear Raph's point about Ricky, but Ricky's still the division leader. I think by default, I have to put him 2. After this week, that certainly can change. We play this week, obviously. And then I'm going to put you 3 and me 4 right now. I believe in my team, but listen, I'm 5-5 and I got to show and prove. So the next week, I plan to do that. So we'll do that for now, just respectfully. So I'm going to, again, AC, Ricky, you, then me 4.
Okay. All right. I don't really disagree with that. Like
the
1 and 2 guys are the division leaders, right? And anything can happen. Like, so look, if Ricky wins this week, he goes on to 7-4. Like that's going to be hard to kick him out the playoff if he's 7-4.
100% agree.
So all he got to do is, we got to take it as it is.
No,
so
this is a must-win week for me. So that's point blank, period.
Absolutely. And to Raph's point, if you win, then it's like, all right, you can see Ricky swing all the way down because
If
he
I
don't have
win,
the
I'll
points
probably
for it.
lock the division at that point, and I think I'll be in the playoffs. But again, that's
Right.
still 2 more games left. But 6-5 leading the division and playing Plunk and Germ, I like my chances.
Right. So, in the words of Ric Flair, if you want to beat a man, you got to beat the man.
There you go. Right
That's
now,
what it is.
in my
Right.
division. Let me hear Raph's opinion, though. Raph, what were you thinking? I'm interested.
I mean, I don't disagree with the list. I would put Vernon too though. But I hear you about listen. You ain't gonna
I
get an
got
argument
you.
from me when
Yeah,
you
you
got the
make an
two.
argument there. I mean, Vern has a better team.
And I think, and listen, and I'll say this, right? So they got, so just think about the way I look at it. If you look at the 6-4 teams, the division leader Ricky, and then you got Vern at 6-4, right? And you look at these two teams just squared up because they got the same, same record. They
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
happen to be in different divisions.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't
yeah.
look, I can't look at both of those
So
teams and say,
holistically speaking, you're 100% right. I just don't want to disrespect the division leader.
no, and I get that. And maybe I spoke,
I was
maybe
my
I was
own power
wild
rankings when I was
earlier.
leading the division as well. I felt like I should never have dropped further than 3, and a couple of times in the power rankings, I was like 4 or 5, and I'm leading the division. I struggle with that, but so that's why. But you can make a solid argument flipping Ricky and Vern, 100%.
And I'll say this: maybe I was speaking out of school just a little too soon. So I'm gonna retract that. I don't want to smoke with the homie Ricky. But
Ricky.
but I will say I think even the strength of divisions I think is disproportionate.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah.
So I mean I do
This
take
year
that
for
into
sure.
consideration.
This year for sure.
Yeah. All right. So with that being said, like I agree. I agree with your assessment. I mean, obviously, with Aaron and I, battling out for the division,
Yeah.
things could change. I don't think things change that much for AC, right? Because he has the most points for, like, even if he loses, like, come on, bro. Like, you're almost practically 60 points ahead of the number 2 guy in Raph. So as I told AC, it's like basically him and Raph, they create like a vice grip. Like he's at the top. Raph, because he doesn't have the wins, is at the bottom, but they both got top points, and everybody else is in a squeeze. They're trying to squeeze to get in. So honestly, unless you win a division, you really can't say that you're gonna make it. That's just the truth. So appreciate it, fellas, on the power rankings. That's going to take us obviously to what we got to look forward to for this week. So let's take a look at some matchups, right? All right. So I'm gonna throw a matchup out to you, and then I want you to give me your thoughts on what you see in that matchup, who you feel might win, maybe a little clue about a particular player that might be the catalyst for that win. Just let me know your spill. So the first one we're going to take a look at, we're going to slow roll this because I don't want to, take away the thunder of what we got to look forward to this week. All right, so we're going to start off this week, but all these matchups, they're all good ones. But let's start off. I tell you what, let's start off with the matchup that really don't matter. OR versus New Work in Progress. Give me a little something about that. We got Germ versus Brett. We kind of already know where Germ is hitting at, so we can't act like that didn't happen. But even for what you see that's left, like, what are your thoughts between Germ and Brett?
Who's that for? Me or Raph?
Either one. Jump right in.
Go ahead,
Go ahead, Marv.
I can't look at Brett's team with this sense of like, man, you got it. I can't do it. I mean, other than Derrick Henry, he's checking out there. What are you doing? Like Jalen Waddle looks like a wide receiver 17 or like a wide receiver 7, right?
Yeah.
Elijah Moore, like Taysom Hill, Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, it's a piecemeal lineup. Yeah.
I can't, man. And not to disrespect the homie because he has, we know what he's done in the past, and he's actually been steady Eddie year in and year out.
Up until the last couple of weeks, yeah, he's been giving you the points at least, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, he's going up against Aaron Jones, AJ Brown, Saquon, James.
Saquon already dropped 40. I mean, I think it's a done matchup. We don't spend a lot of time on it.
It's done.
All right, so for what it is, right? So for
real quick, guys, I'm sorry, man. I'm looking at the power rankings we just did, bro, and I'm looking at Mel's team at 6-4, man. I struggle with where we put him though. What number would we put him at?
We put him at 6, right behind
me.
Oh,
and I'll tell you, I think he has a better team than I do. But if we're going on the points for perspective, and I would actually put Mel ahead of my team if I'm just keeping it 100.
Yo, listen, he can make an argument he's above my team too. I mean, listen, the guy's 6-4, man, and his points for is decent. slightly better than mine, but you know, and I thought he pulled a big win out last week. Didn't he play did he play AC last week, or I'm thinking of the previous week?
Yes, he played AC.
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty good win on his part, man. I said it in the video with Raph that it was a sneaky lineup, and I thought he had the slight edge, and he ended up winning that game. I heard you guys talking about slippery slope with his team. I don't know. I haven't analyzed his team that way to think that. I mean, yes, CD Lamb, but he's got a couple of guys picking it up for him, man.
James
Yeah, I
Conner,
agree.
man. James
And
Conner is looking
James
like
Conner, Steady Eddie, Jawan Jennings is a sneaky pickup because
Absolutely.
he's staying in the lineup now with IU gone. He's got DK Metcalf back, who he didn't have for 3 weeks, right, or 2 weeks. Eckler,
I don't love his
they put
matchup
it
this week.
but Eckler's been a very pivotal piece on the Commanders team. They're using him a lot over there, so I just think it's a sneakier lineup than we're giving him credit for, man.
Well, yeah, I think in this situation, for his ranking, it really is just a reflection of what everybody else is doing in his division. So it's
Yeah.
like, all right, well, look, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
six. I'm what? I guess I'm 6-4, right?
Yeah.
Aaron is 6-4. He's 6-4.
There's an
And it-
argument to be made, and if I'm honest, he could be 4 and I should probably be 6, just on record and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, there's an argument to be made.
Just
And
putting that in the film, I want to make sure I give his team the just due. But
Right.
move on. Next
Yeah.
match. My bad.
No, you good. You good. All right. So with that being said, we feel like Germ is definitely going to get the win for this week.
Yeah.
And really, this is kind of like the last nail in the coffin. I mean, he's been in the coffin for a minute. We're basically like, hey, every year we roll out the boat. We tell people to get on the boat.
Right.
Come on home, Brett. Come on, get your fishing rod. It's time to get on the boat, brother.
Yeah.
So for one more week, like Germ, maybe somehow, some way, you make it, but you got the win this week, we think. All right,
Right.
so moving on to the next matchup. This will be coaching decisions. We just talking about Mel versus Plunk's team,
I
right?
think it's another win, man.
Okay. All right, tell me why.
And that's why I brought him up. While you were talking about the other matchup, man, he's already 6-4. I think he pulls this out. He becomes a 7-4 team. I mean, Plunk got some players in there, but listen, there's no guarantees. But Rashawn Johnson's a dub. I don't see that playing out. You know what I'm saying? Very well. He's got some guys in there that could do their thing, but I don't like his matchups either. Plunk got some tough matchups. It's not just players. You got to have the right matchups. I see T. Higgins. I see Drake. There's some tough matchups in there. I think, simply put, man, Mel pulls it out.
Yeah, I think that Mel has a more complete lineup than Plunk. I mean, obviously, Roshan Johnson, like, come on. But this is kind of like a thing where it's like, once you get deeper into the seasons, like, you really have to manage your buys. And you can just look at Plunk's bench. Like, it's almost his entire bench is on buy.
And
right?
he made that trade, so he can't plug in. Like, he's limited. Right. So it is what it is, but I think Mel got a dub here, bro.
Yeah. So all right. So with that being said, we're gonna move on to the next matchup. Unless Raph, did you have any like interjections, or you see it the same way?
I see it the same way. I think that trade is going to come back to haunt him.
Yeah, it's very likely. At least for this week, right?
Wait. When you say haunt him, he was already out. So
let's just say he didn't do himself any favors. Let's just say that. He if you weren't in contention before, you not in contention right now.
Oh no, it's an nail in the coffin. It's Vampire Night.
Yeah.
All right. So that being said, now we get a chance to look at Sean versus Raph. What you thinking? You think you get the win this week? Where you at with it, Raph?
I didn't start out great. That's why I hate these Thursday night games, man.
Yeah, I hate them too, man.
I hate these Thursday night games because, for as good as Philly is, there's a lot of mouths to feed, and you don't know whose week is going to be, especially at the wide receiver side, right? With AJ kind of banged up, you expect other folks to step up, and then you got Barkley going bananas. It's like he's the alpha, no question on that offense right now. But yeah, man, I don't.
Wait, you're talking about Philly?
What I'm saying is, hold on, let me
right, because you don't own any Philly players, bro.
No, but let me put a bow on this, right? So his 6.9 on Devontae Smith, makes me feel better, right?
Yes,
so
100%.
I hate those games, but it's like I look at it and I'm like,
It worked
Okay,
out for you. It worked out
for me.
pretty good. That's a good.
You
I
know,
mean, 6.9 is waiver wire material, man. That's not a good
right,
start. You know what I'm saying?
right,
He
right.
expected
So
more from Devontae. I did too.
yeah, I don't love Kenneth Walker's matchup at San Francisco. Puka against New Orleans, against New England. He's got some tough matchups,
No,
and
I
I think
think
that
Puka's fine. Who's in New England over there? We got to worry about.
who else is going? I mean, I don't. I just.
But Christian Gonzalez is not locking down Nakua though.
I mean,
I like that matchup. I think Nakua's fine.
if he can keep his
Mixon
emotions
is a good
composed,
matchup. I
if he
agree
can
with you with
maintain
the
his
Walker.
composure,
I
not
agree with
throw
you with
any
Walker,
haymakers.
but I like the Mixon matchup. I like the Nakua matchup. And he get his boy Nico Collins back, which I think is a big boost.
Yeah.
I like some of his matchups, but I think looking at your team,
The Lions
well,
are going to put up, his
this is
defense
gonna
is going
be
to put up
tough.
20
Actually,
points.
you got some tough matchups too. So
His
this,
his defense is going to put up 20 points against that Jacksonville
oh
offense.
shoot, yes.
I mean, that's a positional player for me that I got
Oh
to
yeah,
count.
yeah, yeah. And Mac Jones is playing. Oh, this is gonna be brutal.
It's going to be brutal.
Honestly, be quite frank with you, looking at this, even with the 6.9, I'm still giving a slight edge. And listen, predictions are predictions, but I'm giving a slight edge to Sean.
Okay. All right. So with this matchup, I think it's going to go down to the wire. I think it's going to be a very close matchup. I think for Raph, more or less, you're kind of hedging against the win here a little bit because of ETN. You don't have Harrison. You can't plug him in right now because he's on bye. And I think ideally, like this would be the week. Like, hey, look, let me put him in instead of ETN versus Detroit. But it is what it is. So it's like you got to play him. So you got to play him.
The only
So I
reason,
think
Vern, the only reason why I'm
just
doing
let
it
me
is
run
because
with
he
this, and
broke.
I'm gonna come right back to you, right? So I think in that little spot right there, like that, and then the Bills. Like, what are the Bills gonna do with the Chiefs? Now, granted, like the Chiefs have not been great on offense, so I can see the Bills like kind of keeping a little bit of wraps on them offensively, at least defensively, right? I don't expect the Chiefs to just completely blow up on them, but at the same time, it's the Chiefs. You just never know when they're going to break out. So I feel like those are the two matchups that can kind of give you trouble.
When you say Bills and Chiefs, you talking about Rav's Bills defense?
Yes,
Oh
yes.
man,
But
yeah, yeah,
let me get to like the big fish, right?
yeah. About to say.
Yeah. So like, but I think that you're gonna get you're going to be in this because of your main forces. So Kyron, Alvin Kamara, Justin Jefferson. I feel like all right, Cleveland, they're a little bit tough, but Kamara, he's gonna do enough out of that backfield catching passes to where he's gonna check in his box. Like whatever his projection is, he'll find his way close to it. I can't call 25 points, but he'll get close to it. Justin Jefferson, I actually feel like he's gonna have a good game. So I feel like you get it on that end, and then Brock Purdy versus Seattle. I feel like San Fran about to basically blow the doors off of them guys. So if you can get that right, and then you can get Cortland Sutton to do above his projection, which I think is very well possible versus Atlanta, I think you got a chance. But it's not going to be easy because he's getting Nico Collins versus a pretty much a Dallas team. Them dudes have packed it up and gone
It's
on
picking up
vacation.
already, yeah.
Yeah, like them dudes they quit,
And
right?
Khalil Shakir is a PPR magnet. I think I agree with you, Vern. His top four is gonna have to be where he wins this game, but I see Sean's bottom four minus defense and kicker, and his defense is gonna rack up some points too. But I'm not including him in this projection right now. His bottom four, and when I say that, that unfortunately includes Devontae, but Jake, Nico, and Khalil, I think they're gonna play a big part in this win for him.
I agree. So to me, it's like Nico Collins. We already talked about that. Shakir for all the other wide receivers, and now Kincaid hurt. He's going to get fed a lot.
Yeah,
Then you rise up to the top. You get Puka. Basically, if
I think Puka
Gonzalez
mix
is going
goes
to be on
off.
the cup, that's going
Yeah.
to leave Puka open, right? So Puka might get fed heavily. We don't know. We don't know how.
Well, Puka always get fed heavily. I think his floor is high, bro. That's the thing. I don't think you shut down Puka at all, ever. You know what I'm saying? He's just that kind of guy right now. He's like, any other top receiver. He's gonna get fed.
Yeah,
And he runs
yeah.
all kind of routes. Like he's not a guy you just eliminate. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right. And then of course Joe Mixon. I mean, for whatever Dallas got to offer, I don't think they're a great run
Dallas ain't
defense.
offering nothing on Mixon. Mixon runs like a bull, bro.
So I'm gonna just shoot it to you straight, Raph. If it was any other week, you probably catch this man. But I just think, just for this week, I think Sean has the edge on this one.
I'll
I
tell
just think he
you,
does.
I'll tell you this. I think this is the week where you got Tank Bigsby out, and he better show up. ETN better show up. If he don't show up, that the book
Yeah.
is out on him. He needs
Yeah.
to change the scenery. He just needs something. But I will tell you this, and I said this, and I alluded to this last week.
Well, in fairness to Travis, man, he's got Matt Jones out there, and these Jaguars don't look too good. So I don't know, man. I can't even put it on Travis if he doesn't show up. And Detroit's run defense is no joke.
I mean, in terms of him being a fantasy asset this season.
Oh, I
is what
got
I'm
you.
saying.
Yeah, fair
That's
point.
what I'm
Fair
talking
point.
about.
Yeah.
But I would say this, and I alluded to this last week. It's these games for me, it's I'm playing solitaire.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Not
literally
about wins and losses, right?
that's all. It's not about the wins and losses. So I,
Yeah.
as long as I can continue to put up points, so when I crack my lineups, it ain't no surprise. I'm banking on the upside. I'm banking on the high floors and high upside dudes just to give me
100%. 100%.
just to keep padding the points. So,
Right.
Word to that. Word to that. All right, so that takes us into our divisional matchups for this week. So, I tell you what, Raph, I'm gonna let you pick one between the division. Which matchup are you most? What are you most intrigued by? And then Marvin, you'll take the other one.
No
I
problem.
gotta go with your game, bro.
Okay.
Your game is it's gonna be a slobber knocker to take a 1990s
Battle
Billy McGraw
Royale.
reference. Battle Royale, man. It's gonna be the hurt team. Now, man, this is gonna be a great game. I think. I think you got the Thursday night. You got what I think you needed at the very minimum from Jalen Hurts. So he's not gonna be the reason you lose this week. But
At least not AC, right?
right. But no, man, I think, like I said, he started out good. I think Terry McLaurin, that's gonna hurt you. I mean, you kind of playing behind the eight ball right now because
Yeah.
I expected a lot more from him in that matchup. With that said, when you get CMC back on second week of the season for him, I think he's gonna be a lot more acclimated, gonna get kind of the rust and jitters off. I expect him to run bananas against Seattle. He might score 3-4 touchdowns, and I wouldn't be surprised.
I need that boy too.
Yeah, so and I think Chase against the Chargers. I like that matchup. DeAndre Swift against Green Bay, like that matchup. Taylor against the Jets, man, I like that matchup. I mean, the Jets ain't,
That's another team packing it up for
that's another team. I
Cancun.
mean, they got the early ticket. They got the pre-bird special.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I thought this would always be a close game. I'm giving the slight edge to AC here.
I agree.
Terry McLaurin is 2 points is almost like you already lost a spot. I mean, 2
Right.
points is not, if you got that from your kicker, you'd be pissed. You know what I'm saying?
And you can't do that going up against AC because he's gonna put up the points.
He's gonna get some
can't-
guys. He's got a very sneaky line, kind of like his matchup with Mel last week. And I thought Mel had a sneaky lineup. I think AC has also a very sneaky lineup, and it's less to do about the A team's lineup. I think there's a very good lineup, obviously good players, but I think AC has enough in that lineup right now to pull this out. Now, Jalen Hurts, I know he probably expected more, but he was fortunate to get that touchdown from Hurts at the end. So that helped a lot because Jalen Hurts looked like he was going to do under 20 for the first time in a long time. So, and then in combination with you getting only 2, Vern, I think this is a problem. I think Jamar Chase is going to be bottled up to some degree, meaning I don't know if he goes to 20. If I'm Harbaugh, he's not going to let what he saw his brother allow happen again. Jim Harbaugh is going to make sure Chase is not the one to beat him. I would think so. I think Swift has a tough matchup. Taylor's going to do his thing, but Lamar's playing Pitt. He's going to have a floor game. That's not a game where you expect to see 30-plus points. I don't buy that projection. I don't think Tomlin's going to let Lamar eat him up. So I think Vern has some good players, but I think the matches favor AC in this game, and I think he pulls it out.
I think the Jacksonville matchup makes or breaks his week, right? He has Jahmyr Gibbs, Dave Montgomery can both go over 20.
Oh, yeah.
And St. Brown can give you the same. You can legitimately say you got at least minimum floor, a good floor of 60 points among
60 points. Players. I buy that. 60, around there, yeah, plus or minus or whatever. But yes, I buy that. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Raph. I think that Jacksonville matchup with Detroit is like where it becomes like you can get buried because Jacksonville, man, they're so lost. And honestly, the offense that Detroit has, it's almost kind of mirrors like Aaron's fantasy team because he's so locked in with Detroit. Like as they go, he goes, right? And Detroit has been very consistent on offense.
Yeah.
And he has the three main guys that if they're going to be points that scored by Detroit, like these are the three guys. So I just feel like he has the better matchup because just essentially he's playing Detroit, he's playing Jacksonville essentially this week. Like he ain't even playing me. He playing Jacksonville. So I think between that, I thought it was also a very sneaky pickup with the Texans versus Dallas because again,
100%.
like
Yeah.
come on, like come on, Cooper Rush, like really, like come on.
I had a waiver claim. Me and AC both had. He beat me to it, but I had Texans as a great pickup. Don't sleep on the Garrett Wilson. Indiana has no corners that I know. Indianapolis has no corners that's going to hold Garrett Wilson. I think Garrett Wilson, his projection is 16. I think he gets that and then some. I'm not saying he goes 25, 30, but I could see him easily doing 20 plus. So yeah, I just think he got the matchups this week. Sometimes I say this all the time, fantasy football is not just the plays, you got to have the right matchups. And I think the matchups favor him this week.
And think of it, and even if you think about it, right? You know, you got that Detroit run defense, right? You already know you're not going to run on Detroit, right?
No.
Which means you're going to try to beat them through the air. That's not their game. Like it's just not going to happen, right? This is going to be they're going to
jump out front and then run the air out the ball. So that means Gibbs and Montgomery are having both big games. I can see Montgomery having at least 2 touchdowns on the ground. Gibbs maybe 1.
Multiple catches each.
And just to get the lead, Amon St. Brown's might get 20. No way. You know what I'm saying? So
he's going to get those garbage touchdowns, right? Because they're up by 25.
Yeah. And Hawkinson, man, listen, that's a pick that's paid off now. It's money time. Right. And they've been using Hawkinson. And you like the Jefferson matchup, Vern, but I like the Hawkinson too, right? I mean, Hawkinson right now is 1-2, Jefferson and Hawkinson. Addison is not a factor there. So I think Hawkinson's floor is very, very high as well. I mean, I see that 12 being easily attained, right? 11.9 is what the projection is, but I can see him getting 15 plus. So I just think, good lineup, Vern, but and there's no guarantees, but I think slight edge to AC here.
Yeah. I agree. And this is like for AC, because I know he watches these videos. He will watch this video. AC, this is not like reverse juju. Like, this is not what it is, bro. This is not reverse juju. I did not pay Marvin. I did not pay Raph to say this. You just had the better matchups, right? I do think, like, if there's like any shot in the world, any shot, it got to happen from the running backs. That means Taylor has to either go off.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't even think one is enough.
Yeah,
some combination of Taylor, McCaffrey, them two's got to do it. Like they got to go bonkers. That's the only way I can win this game, in my personal opinion. I think not having Kincaid, that really takes a hit. I agree with Marvin as far as the Chargers. Like the Chargers, if you kind of pay attention to them, they don't be letting receivers just go off like that. Yeah. So I don't see Chase. I see Chase getting the catches. But he gonna be doing nowhere close to what he was doing last week. Like check him in for like 15 points, 17 points on somewhere around that. Cool. But anything beyond that, like don't bank on that. So that's just the way I see the matchup. The same thing, obviously, we know what Baltimore and Pittsburgh do. It's normally, it's gonna be a defensive game. At least that's the way I see it. Yeah. So go ahead. Go,
bro, you need one of those Lamar 40-point games, and it's not going to happen this week. To turn the clock back to how he treated Jaden Daniels, right? Yeah. You thought that you just lock him out. He takes that element, I think, away when that's one of your strongest assets.
That's what you should do. I was shocked. John Harbaugh allowed Chase to do what he did. Not only that, the first half was already terrible. How you come out the second half and you let him do the same thing again? I mean, the dude just teared him up the whole game. Bad coaching, bad defense, and if the Ravens are serious about being contenders, they need to fix that, man. That's a problem over there.
Yeah, no, in real football, in real football, the Ravens got a problem in that secondary. All right, so with that being said, one last matchup to consider. Marvin, we're going to save you for last because you are the man that's in it. So, Raph, this week, we got the division on the other side up for grabs. It's Ricky, who you think could easily find his way onto the boat as quickly as next week, versus Marvin. What's your thoughts?
I think this is the closest game of the week in terms of how it could. I think if you can, this is a 50-50 game. This is the toss-up. I think again, this is a combination of between the matchups and the actual how they stacking up, line by line. I look at, Josh Allen and KC, he's gonna suit up for that matchup. He does every year, right? He doesn't take that's the game that they circle on the calendar every year, you know what I mean? So
Sure.
I expect a great game from Josh Allen. I think that's gonna give Ricky the heads up in that particular positional matchup. I look at Ramondre versus Brees. Man, it's just Brees. It's just the Jets, man. I don't fast forward to next season. I would expect that they feed him, and I would expect him to just put down. But there's nothing in there that says that I've seen that be like, listen, he's gonna be a true RB1 because right now he hasn't really been. That's been H-Hen. So that's kind of like a toss up, but I like Ramondre, in that matchup. Uh,
Okay.
JK versus Achan, I'm an Achan fan, man. I think he does everything for that team. Like he is the one in the air, on the ground, like he's the one. So I think that matchup definitely goes to Marv. Adams, I don't love that matchup just because it's the Jets. He's been a shell of himself. Um Debo, I like Debo. I like Debo this week. Debo against Seattle, I'll take it all day. That's just my personal pick. Um, Tyreek in Vegas versus DeAndre Hopkins. I think Hopkins has a good game, actually. I think, he's gelling on that offense. I think Mahomes is looking for him. I could see that being a good stat line for him. Tyreek, now that I know, we got Tua back, it's clear it's still kind of they're taking their time to get back to what we expect them to be. I don't think this is the week that he does it. We haven't seen those big breakout plays from Tyreek Hill all season, partially because obviously Tua's been out. But even then, like that offense just hasn't looked, at least in the air, hasn't looked like it's what we expected it to look like. I love George Kittle. George Kittle's killing it this season. He turned the clock back 5 years. I think he's leading tight ends in all touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. Could be
Yeah.
wrong about that. Um, the the Zay Flowers, it's okay. I don't love it. But listen, Cedric Tillman, man, Cedric Tillman, he's that dude.
I'm a believer, bro. I'm glad
I'm a
you mentioned it.
believer. Cedric Tillman, like that, great
Just keep
pickup,
on my team.
great pickup. Um, and then listen, the Eagles at Washington versus the Broncos at Atlanta. I still think Atlanta's going to put up points, but it's always hard to go to Denver and put up a lot of points because of those conditions, right? We're up in the Rocky Mountains, so I think it's a true toss up. But if I had to give it to somebody, I'm actually going to give it to Marvin.
Okay. Yeah. So I think it's I see it the same way you see it, which is basically this is a pick me game. And the reason why I say that is because when you get to the meat of the lineup, a lot of these things you already pointed out, they're very even, right? Like Marvin has some really good matchups. J.K. Dobbins, like Cincinnati, got no resistance for what's going on over there. But the same thing is true for the Raiders. Like, man, the Raiders, man, they ain't think about trying to stop Devon A-Chain. So it is what it is. I feel like if there's 1 week to feature Brees, like this is it. Like, guys,
Agreed.
this thing with Aaron Rodgers, it's not working. Like, it's not. So let's do the bread and butter thing. Let's feed and feature Brees Hall. I feel like that's going to be the game plan. I feel like Indy doesn't have enough on defense to really stop that.
Agreed.
So to me, I kind of feel like this is a game where Brees Hall could easily go over his projection. Not saying he will, because he is 20 points, but I could easily see it happening. All right, the Debo game, we already know. We kind of talked about San Fran versus Seattle, them blowing the doors off of them. Debo's going to be a part of that. I agree with you as far as DeAndre Hopkins. Like he's going to be everything that Rashee Rice is for Pat Mahomes. How Buffalo defends that, I don't think it will be good enough. I think Hopkins will probably go over his projection, to be honest. They got him at 13. Like, I think he goes over that. So I think really where Marvin will separate himself is actually at the bottom of his lineup, right? Because Ricky got some good matchups too, right? Devontae Adams, I can see him getting off on that secondary. Tyreek, I can see him find his groove versus the Raiders. I can see that. But where things kind of separate itself is actually Zay Flowers and Ricky Pearsall versus Josh Jacob and Cedric Tillman. I think that's where Marvin starts running down the street like, yep, peace out. We good. Because I just feel like we know what Green Bay is going to do. They're going to feature Josh Jacobs. And yes, Chicago is no like just pushover, but their offense is so bad. Like Green Bay is going to be on the field all day. So that's that. Then when you go to Cedric Tillman, we already kind of know like Lattimore is no longer, playing this year for New Orleans. Like their secondary ain't got no resistance. I see Cleveland putting up points. So with that being said, I'm gonna give the edge to Marvin. I think he takes the division. And then it becomes a question of what happens to Ricky. I don't know. We shall see. So that's that. That takes care of our matchups. And based off of how I left off, now what we're going to do for the remainder of this video is just kind of look at the schedule. And we're going to look at the teams that we rank, like 1 through 7, the bottom 3. Like, we're not going to talk about y'all. But 1 through 7, we're going to look at the teams and say, what is your path to get in? All right, so let's take a look at the schedule real quick. I'm going to pull it up for you guys. And we're going to start at the guy that y'all rank number 1. We're going to start with Ern, right? Now, this week, we're already saying that he's going to get the win this week, right? So Ern goes to 7-4. His next 2 games will be Sean and Raph. How y'all feeling? Do you feel like the path is already made once he wins this game? Or do you feel like he's still got some fighting to do?
For who? For Aaron or for?
Yeah. For
Nah,
Ern.
he's. I think he was wilding last week with his blasphemous statements that he thought he was going to be writing for points. No.
Right.
Nah,
Right.
he's sitting pretty, man. I think there's nothing fluky about his team, right? I think when we were having these conversations last week, the question was, are you who you are on paper in reality, right? And I think for certain teams, that's an open question, except for somebody like Aaron's team, because he's number 1 in the division, top of the points for, and you look at the rest of his schedule, he was like, I could take a bunch of L's. I was like, nah, even if you do, a lot of other people, things would have to fall into place, and you
Yeah.
ain't taking that bet.
It's not happening.
It ain't happening.
Yeah. So essentially with that, right? Because I kind of did the math in my head. So essentially for what Ern is talking about, it's almost next to impossible for that to happen, right? Because
Agreed.
essentially what would have to happen is this. It would have to be between you and him, right? To where everybody else has a better record than him. And now it's between you and him as far as points for and does he make it in, right? And even for that, he still is above you in points. So it's like, all right, so even if you go, let's say somehow, some way, you go 7-6, and other people went 8-5. Say Ricky goes 8-5, or I go 8-5, or whoever else, right? Then it becomes between you and him, and he still has the lead in points. So it don't matter. Like, bro, you in. Like, don't worry about it. And again, Aaron, I know you're listening over there somewhere, probably tomorrow on Sunday. This is not reverse juju. It's not that. We're just going off of like purely like what it is, like the reality of the situation. Like, look, all these teams, they're playing each other. Everybody can't go 8-5, bro. Like, everybody can't do it because we're playing each other.
Vernon, you're short. You're short some.
Oh yeah, I trust me, Raph. I'm Venmoing you now. I'm sending you the Venmo now. Another little
let's
quick
even
real quick.
simplify this. Let's even simplify this even further, right? If the projection that we discussed today, where AC wins and beats you,
yeah,
he'd be 7-4.
Yes.
Worst case scenario, he loses one of the remaining 2 games, because I don't believe he loses both. He's in minimum at 8-5, and most likely wins the division.
Right.
Absolutely.
So I don't think we need to go further than that.
All right. So with that being said, we shall move on. All right. So the number 2 team, we had Ricky as the number 2 team. Staying alive. Does he stay alive? If we're saying that Marvin wins this week, he now goes to 6-5. Let me tell you who his 2 matchups are. Next week, he has Germ Joy. We kind of talked about, hey, Germ Joy has a really tough team.
Right.
We talked about Sean. Nico Collins coming back, right? And now his team is healthy. Do Ricky make it if he loses this week, right? We're saying he loses. Now, that may or may not happen. But if he goes to 6-5 with Germ Joy and Sean, does he make it? What's your thoughts?
I don't think so. Even if he wins, clearly I'm out. But even if he wins, I don't think he beats both Germ and Sean. I could see him actually even losing those 2 games. That's a real possibility. I just think those teams score enough that Ricky's team would always be a question mark. You know, his team just has a a low floor, if that's probably the way to say it. You know, it's been better, but I don't know if you can count on his team every week to score a certain number of points. I would be, if in his shoes, a little uncertain about what my team can give me every week. So, but let's go again. Argument's sake, I win this week. He's 6-5. I don't see him making it. No, I think he can easily be 7-6 and not get there because of points for alone.
Okay.
Let
I
alone
agree.
having to
I
win
agree
the
with that.
game. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Okay. Raph, you obviously put him at the bottom, so you
No,
would think
no,
of
but this is exactly this is what the analysis I'm going through in my head. It wasn't
Yeah.
it wasn't a disrespect as to where he is now and how he got here. It's perspectively looking
Moving
at
forward. Yeah.
moving forward. It's like, even if it's like you got these couple games left, you
Yeah.
can easily slip out of the division, out of the top of the spot in the division.
Yeah.
And you're really relying, like, look at his horses, right? His horses are Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill,
Dobbins.
and it's
And Steve,
like,
they're not steady Eddie guys,
they're
right?
not steady Eddie guys, right? These are people that, like, they're steady and forget it for his team, but they wouldn't be steady and forget it's
For
for
a lot of
anybody
other
else's
teams.
team. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like if that's what you're relying on, a lot of things had to cut your way, but you can't go in there pumping your chest high like you and Aaron can week in and week out with your top dogs.
Right.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I don't disagree. I think, like, he got to win this week. If he doesn't win, he just stumbles down the steps. Like, nobody's going to be there to catch him.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah,
It's
he's
like what is
going
it?
down to the bottom of the steps. Yep.
Like the meme of somebody tripping down the flight of stairs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need to post that.
Right. No soft landings for Ricky.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to move on to the number 3 team. So Marvin gave me the courtesy of putting me at number 3. So we have me taking the L this week, right? Have me taking the L versus Aaron. So then I will move to 6-5. Here are my next 2 matchups. I have Brett and I have Mel. Do I make it?
You're playing Brett.
You make it. You beat Brett. That's a given, right?
And I think square it off against Mel. I think you beat Mel.
Yeah, you could beat Mel 100%. I mean, I would have to see the matches per se, but yeah, I think I would still give you the edge there.
Okay. All right. Very good. I don't disagree. I feel like regardless of what happens, I would love to win the division. But I think regardless of what happened, all I need to do is get to 8-5. If I get to 8-5, I'm Gucci. All right. Next up, Marvin at currently 5-5. We saying he gets the win this week. He takes the division because he has the points. He goes 6-5. Next 2 games, Plunkett and Germ Joy. How we feeling?
I'm gonna be honest. I like my chances.
Yeah.
I agree.
I like my chances to win the next 3 games. I've said that. I felt that. I believe that. We'll see, but I believe that. I still think, regardless of how my team's been up and down sometimes, for different reasons, I think I still have the better team in the division. I don't think that's much of a question at this point.
Okay.
Not to say that's a guarantee now, but I'm just saying, like, just based on lineups and matchups the last couple of weeks, I think I will win out the string.
Okay. Raph, what's your thoughts?
No, I think that's right. We're just looking at it just from a probability standpoint. I agree. I think you win out the rest of the season. And I think as long as you do that, and especially if Ricky takes an L this week, I think you're good.
Yeah, I think this is probably the most pivotal game for, like, Marvin, right?
Yeah.
If he gets it, he locks in that division. I don't think he loses that grip because he'll probably come through punch him down real quick. And he's probably going to have to thug it out with Germ. Like, that's not going to be an easy one, but I think you will probably have the edge in that one. I think
the question is this: it's a scenario I never thought about. Could I win the division at 7-6? Let's say I lose one of the remaining 2 games, assuming I beat Ricky this week, obviously.
Right.
At 7-6, I will still have a better record than Plunk, of course.
Right.
And Germ.
Right.
Because Germ already have 6 losses.
Right.
The question becomes, what does Ricky's final record end up being?
Absolutely. And that's why we talked about Ricky's record, right? So we're looking at Ricky's record and saying,
so there is a plausible scenario where I win the division. I wouldn't want to, but I could win the division at 7-6, I guess, because I also have the most points for in my division, which is not saying much, but
right.
Basically, I mean, you know what I'm saying, because I'm like 5th in points for, something like that. But, you know, my division is not scoring a lot of points.
Yeah. Right. So real quick, to make it simple for you, all you have to do is have the same record as everybody else in your division, and you get the division because you have them in points for.
Agreed.
And it's not even close. Like, those boys is way down. So As long as you are got the
Right.
same record as them, you're good.
Right.
Right.
Agree.
And that's why I pointed out the points for in the earlier portion when we started the video. It's not so much like I said, disrespect to where he is now, but looking forward, he doesn't have the points forward where if he loses that grip, he's like,
Nice.
I still got a pathway.
Right. And more importantly, division's even bigger than points for, right? Is division record against you because you play certain guys in your division, obviously, twice. You play not certain guys, everyone in your division twice. So I would have beaten Ricky twice already. So I have the tiebreaker with head-to-head and points for, and I probably would have a couple tiebreakers head-to-head with other division.
We can take a look. We can take a look at that right now. It ain't hard. All right. So look, you've already beat Brad. Well, okay. All right. Let's look at your division. You already beat Ricky. So if you beat Ricky this week, you would have a tiebreaker over him.
On both ways. Points
that's
head-to-head, yeah.
Right. All right. Now look, you lost versus Germ, so you wouldn't have a tiebreaker over him. But I really don't think he's going to play a factor.
No.
Plunker, you won versus him. So when you play him again, like you'll have a tiebreaker over him. So that won't be a problem. So basically, all you got to do, if you beat Ricky and you beat Plunker, like it's not even a question. It's not even a question because you would have the tiebreakers over both of them, no matter what they do. Right. So that's it. Because the only person you don't have a tiebreaker over is Germ, but you play him in week 13. So there's that. Shout out to the schedule maker. You know what I'm saying? We gone through like 11 weeks. We have not shout out the schedule maker at all. Like not at all. Like
I'm gonna shout out the schedule maker for my last game of the season.
I'm just saying, like whoever that brother is.
I don't know.
Like,
I don't know if AC would shout out the schedule maker right now. I don't think he wants to play Raph, and I don't think he likes his last 3 games though. So but I'll give you this. I mean, I think the way we've been doing the schedule has been the right way, right? Kind of mimicking the NFL. Division games early in the season, middle portion of the season is kind of non-division opponents. And then at the end, you give yourself a chance to whip some dudes in your division if you need to get ahead or lock in your division. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to playing Ricky, Plunk, and Jeremy at the end of the year. And, let the best teams win.
Yeah.
That's the way it should be. Let's duke it out.
And not saying like not saying like me and the schedule maker had a lot of discussions, but yes, like that was the thought. The thought is it's like, well, look, all these games, like every week, you want to see games where it's like, look, anything can happen. And that's what it's been this whole season. When you really think about it, like every time you're looking at matchups, it's like, man, I don't know. Maybe not. Unless you're like playing Brad.
On one last note here, though, schedule makers giving me a whoop ass schedule though. Look at my look at my points against compared to anyone else's. It's amazing that I'm actually 5-5 right now. Be quite honest with you. Go look. Let's look at that, Raph. Let's analyze that for real quick.
Yeah.
Point against. Where am I on this list?
Yeah.
Where am I on this list?
Let's take a look.
You're nice.
Right. Sean and I have the most difficult schedule. And look, it's by a lot when you compare some of the other guys who are vying for
which is why when you look at
Vern, I'm over 200 points on Vern. On Mel, over 200 points on Mel. These are guys are playoff teams, right? So listen, no disrespect to records and everyone is 6-4 and I'm 5-5, but it's really a testament to Sean and my team that we're actually 5-5. Yeah. The points against is ridiculous. Look at even Raph. Raph is taking a beating, of course, in record-wise, but 1404, I'm over again almost 200 points again.
Yeah.
So
what about Ricky's team, right? At the top of the division when
that's why he's 6-4. It's not a real 6-4 because look, he's almost matching his points for and points against, and look how low his points against is, bro. I mean,
you said it, not me. I just shined the light on it.
Yeah. AC not taking anything from his 6-4, but I got 100 points on him. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying to you guys, I believe in my team. I don't have the highest points for. I'm kind of middle of the pack right now, and that's for different reasons. We all got injuries and stuff to deal with. That's the fantasy season, but my team is better than 5-5, and I know it. So I plan to win all 3 games. I'm not leaving it up to 7-6.
Well, yeah, Marvin, I don't disagree. I think that you've had, a tough schedule, but really I feel like to some degree that's a reflection of one, this being a really tough league.
Yeah.
But also too,
Agreed.
when you catch guys, right? Because it's like, all right, you can catch a guy, like you catch Brett and he goes off.
No,
And then it's
100,
like,
no, 100%. It has nothing to do with you actually setting up that schedule. I'm just saying, I've been catching,
hey,
bro.
not me, the
No,
schedule maker, not me.
no, I'm just saying, I've been catching wreck. That's all I'm trying to say. Me and Shaw been catching wreck. We playing guys and they're giving us our best most weeks, man. It's crazy. I've had one down week. It was last week, and I regret my team didn't show up. When Brett scored, I think 130. I did 108. It's probably my lowest output of the year. But I'm just saying, most weeks, I'm getting 150 and better.
Right.
You know,
True that.
So
I'm
that.
gonna give
don't
I'm gonna
show
give the
up.
league their flowers. I'm gonna give the league their flowers because
Yeah,
I
the
think
league's been playing.
in years past, the fact is that nobody sold really like hardcore selloffs at the deadline like in years past,
That's true too.
and it's forced every team to just compete. And
Right.
this is what you get, right?
I
Because
prefer
how
just
many of these wins could have been like throwaways because you're playing a team at the end of the season that sold off, 3 keepers. You know what I mean?
right,
So,
right, 100%. I actually, I'm glad it was so close this year because it stayed true to form.
Yeah.
Dudes competed, and dudes are still competing. Even Plunk, I gotta say, he's putting up a good lineup every week. He's not leaving the board and saying I check out. You know what I'm saying? And I mean Brett too. Brett's picking up guys on the waiver wire and setting up a good lineup. Does he win? Does Plunk win? No, but they're still managing their teams, and I gotta give a lot of respect to that. They could have checked out already.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So we're going to fast forward to the number 5 spot. Raph, this isn't about your matchups, so it don't even matter. It really becomes about your points, right? So we were just looking at the whole points for, points against situation, right? All right. So we're not going to even factor in your lineup, right? Because you're not getting in. At least your theory is you're not getting in on wins. You're not worried about that.
I'm playing solitaire. I'm playing
All right.
solitaire by
So
myself.
you playing solitaire. Okay. So right now, you're second at 1551, right? I'm third at 1515. Sean is at 1505. So everybody else, like, don't worry about it. 1466 and below, like, don't worry about it. Like, you're not catching Raph in 3 weeks. But do you believe that either myself or Sean could catch you in points for within the next 3 weeks? See, that's the question.
You possibly, because you got CMC back, and I think that's your X factor.
Okay.
But with that said, you still have to outperform my pace, right? And I feel like it is what it is. But like for me, my strategy has been I gotta put people on there with high floors and high ceilings, right? I can't take these like I need to win this week, so let me kind of play the match. I need the points, right? So
Okay.
as long as my team, and I believe that they will, because there's not to suggest that they haven't. I believe I'm going to consistently score. My goal is to do at least a $155, $160 week in, week out. If I can keep on that pace, I think I'm all right.
Well, look at that, Raph. $155, $160. We were just having a conversation about how many points do you need to win every week, Aaron. There you go. $155, $160. So that's what you're aiming to do. I think that you will do it. I can't say, like, my team is one of those teams where come next week, once everybody is off a bye, they could explode. But honestly, I don't feel like I'm a threat to your position, right? I think most likely I will go 8-5. I'll probably get locked into the number 3 spot, and it'll just be what it is because I'll have the points for over everybody else, right? So really, it becomes about Sean. And so at 1505, I don't think Sean will catch you.
No.
But even if he did, I can see you still getting in somehow, some way anyway. So
Raph is in, man. Let's not make this, he's in.
yeah, I'm
I
not.
think
I'm not
Raph is in.
belaboring
I
the point.
mean, and it's hard to project points, but Raph, like AC's team, has been pretty steady Eddie. So
Okay.
and he's got the lead, right? What his I don't know what his exact lead is right now. What's the lead in points for?
So
Well,
he has the points for lead. He's 36 points ahead of me, and he is 46 points ahead of Sean.
Yeah, I don't see him.
And we're
losing.
saying over the next 3 weeks, like, can you? Because it's not about matchups for him. Like,
No,
if it
I
was,
get it.
then
Well,
we
what
have
I'm saying
another
is to
discussion.
lose that lead, you have to have a really dud, and one of you guys would have to go extremely to the stratosphere. I just don't see that right now.
I gotta have
Right
an
now,
injury
Vernon.
that plugs me out. I gotta have an injury that plugs out 20 points in my
That's
lineup
a
week
good
in,
point
week
too.
out.
Injuries is another factor, right? That's a
Right.
good point. Yeah.
So there you go. So all things being said, if you're healthy, we think you get in. All right.
Yeah.
Moving on. Number 6, Mel, who's at 6-4. All right. So now we go back and we take a look at the records and we look at the schedule rather. All right, so we're looking at Mel's schedule. We're saying that he's going to get the win this week. So Mel moves to 7-4. Interesting. All right, so he's playing Plunk. He gets the win. He moves to 7-4. He plays Raph, and then he plays me.
Woo. Woo.
Hey, man, I had nothing to do with that.
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm still gonna assume he splits. I think Mel gets in. I've been saying that. I think Mel is one of the playoff teams. I don't know who gets out, and I haven't done all the math. Is there a scenario you could get into, Vern and Mel?
Yes.
Right?
I would get in over Mel because I would have the points for it. But it's not by Mel.
Listen to what I'm saying. Can both of y'all get in the playoffs? Is there a scenario both of y'all is what I'm saying?
There is a scenario. There is a scenario. So
This
the way
scenario
that would
is
have to play out.
AC. What I'm saying is this scenario me, you,
Yes.
AC, Mel, and Raph.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to say. This has nothing to do with you head to head. I think Mel gets in, is all I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah.
I think he wins this week, and I think he splits one of these two games.
Okay.
That's my gut. He could lose all three, but I'm not buying that.
All right.
Raph has a good enough team.
Yeah, that's a good. Let's revisit that conversation next week, because then at that point it's math. It's math.
It's
okay.
math.
All right. So let's not do the math. Let's save ourselves some brain.
But he has a tough last two games. I mean, I wouldn't want to be playing both of you at the end of the year and needing to get in. But his team is good enough.
And the thing is, it's not only playing us, but he's playing teams that are putting up consistent high number of points.
But he's doing the same, guys. Let's not act like he isn't.
But he needs the wins, right?
Yeah.
So if he's trying to get in on the wins,
his team
you don't want to play the teams that are putting up the high points, because you're trying to get a dub.
No, I get it. But what I'm saying is he's putting up enough points for that. You know, if your team doesn't give you your consistent points, you could take it out that week.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I'm getting at. I mean, 1466, he's not that far from everybody else. And at the end of the day, the points for is just a past performance thing. All you need to do is go up that week and score more than the next guy. Points for has no bearing on what you're doing that particular week on that Sunday, including Thursday and Monday. So what I'm saying is his team certainly has the potential to do above average scoring. We've seen it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So we will punt that off to next week when he gets closer to the sun. All right. So for what it is, the last guy, Sean. Sean Icarus, right? All right, so the last guy, Sean.
Dallas Stadium, that's what that is.
Right. He's playing Raph this week. We're saying that who gets the win this week?
Y'all thought Sean got the win this week.
I think Sean is getting the win this week. All right. So if Sean gets the win this week, he is, let's see, in the standings, he is currently.
He will be 6-5, right?
Yes, he will be 6-5. Now, last two matchups, he has
Aaron,
and then he has Ricky.
He can split. You think? He can split.
Yeah, I see a split.
I don't think 7-6 gets him in.
Right, that's the kicker. That's the kicker.
I don't think 7-6 gets him in. And where does he stand on points for with Mel and you, for example?
He's behind me.
Yeah, and he's ahead of Mel, but probably by like 40 points, 45 points. Something like that.
Okay, that's a decent lead too, though. But I think it's in Mel's hands, and I think Mel has the better team. I think he sneaks it out. Hey, Caleb, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Doing good.
Yeah, I think he sneaks in. I think Mel sneaks in. I'm not saying Sean is out of it, but I think my gut says Mel still.
All right. So there we go. So that's who we think is going to make it. We got,
and I think he makes it on record. I think his big matchup was beating AC last week. I think he wins this week. We'll see. I think he has a slight edge on Raph, and I think he splits the one of the remaining two games. So if that plays out like I think it will, I think he still gets it over Sean. But Sean's in it, of course. I'm just saying. Yeah. I don't think the points for is going to matter here. I think it's going to be a record thing.
Absolutely, I agree. For Sean, it's going to have to be record. So, with that being said, fellas, that's our path to the playoffs. We'll see how things turn next week. Yeah. We gone over the power rankings, we gone over the matchups, and now we just got to play the games. Yeah. So, with that being said, thank you, fellas, for joining me for another episode on Coast to Coast. We'll see you guys next week. Peace out.
Absolutely. No doubt. Peace.
Good job, fellas.
No doubt.
All right. Done.
Good video.